everyone, this is Starzenith33. Let me fix my microphone here. This is Starzenith33 at the Astro Weather here at Podbean, and I'm going to be talking about the moon in Gemini. And yesterday I did the Spanish podcast for my Spanish listeners. But today I'm going to be talking in English on the moon in Gemini, which, I looked at the chart and it's doing really great aspects, and I don't see anything really like too crazy, but it has escalated the whole communication. We know that happens during the moon in Gemini. So let's go and talk about it. Thank you for returning and listening to the podcast here. This is going to be episode 53, and which is an 8. Okay. And I just happened to just jump in here. I had some food and I am drinking a little bit of Sprite. I needed some fizz in me. And I said, let me jump in here and just talk a little bit. Because I need to do something right now. And I said, let me just jump in there real quick. And, hopefully it is not going to be an hour. Hopefully I plan on just doing it for half an hour, because I don't really see anything like really superly major. Okay. Everybody's talking about the 4 degree. Okay. And when I say everybody, I mean astrologers. Okay. They are talking a lot about, I'm an astrologer as well. But I have not been talking about it. Okay. Because I've been just trying to concentrate on the Spanish podcast as well, and just other things, other themes on here that I've been talking about. But I do see the 4 here in Neptune. Okay, I see the 4 in Pluto. I see the 4 in Uranus. So there's a lot of 4s. Okay, 4, 4, 4. And I believe, where's the other 4? I think there was, okay, so we got Pluto, we got Neptune, because I see asteroids here too, also with 4s. So we got Neptune there, and we got Uranus. So it looks like it's only 3 planets right now. We are waiting for Jupiter to also enter 4. Right now it's at 2 degrees. And but let me look what this that's Formahall. Okay, so Formahall is at 4 in Pisces as well. Okay, so it is conjunct the North Node, and we know the North Node has to do with fate, with destiny. In the sign of Pisces, it has to do with the ocean, the water, the beaches, spirituality. Okay, spirituality right now is very elevated. Okay, right now it's a great time to talk to God, read the Bible or pray. God most likely will answer you. I've been getting a lot of not that he doesn't, right, but a lot of times, sometimes we pray and we think, did God listen to us? Well, those that are believers. And, there can be this a little bit of doubt in whether God believes us or not, but that is blind faith. Okay, that is just talking to God and praying to God, and we just hope that he's going to hear us, right? So that's why a lot of times when I do my prayer, I always say, Lord, I hope that this is my petition, or I just want to have a conversation with you. I just want to thank you for the things that I have and the things that you are going to bless me with. And I hope that my voice reaches where you are, and I hope that that my voice does not go void, and that I'm able to reach you where you are, and you're able to listen to. Sometimes I tell God, show me a sign, right? It could be anything. It could be anything. It could be a flower. It could be a little squirrel. I'll say something, if a squirrel shows up, then my prayer was heard, right? Or just anything, like show me a sign, and then some weird thing comes up, As a matter of fact, yesterday I was doing a podcast in Spanish, and I was talking about just like different storytelling with the astro and what the planets were doing and so forth as the moon entered Gemini. And I have a painting of my niece, my beautiful niece. The last time she was here, which was, 2 years ago or something, I bought her this painting, and you could just paint on top of it, but they're like these oranges and so forth. And she's very artistic, and she is very, very creative. So she painted the oranges like with orange color, and it looks so nice, how she painted it. And so I have it hanged in my wall, right? And I think she left it here. She put her signature on it. And I don't know. I mean, I gave it to her, but she left it here. So obviously, I said, okay, well, I'm just going to hang it because it's a memory of my niece, because they do live pretty far. And I hanged it and it fell. So I was like, and when I was doing the Spanish podcast, and nobody was pounding on the walls or nothing like that. It's not the window was not open. There was no wind coming in. So I don't know what happened. Maybe my voice was too strong. My frequency was too strong in Spanish that I actually have to go back and listen to it. I'm like, what was I talking about when it fell? And I got a little bit creeped out when it fell because I heard it and I'm like, oh, what is that? It was pretty loud. And then I just kind of felt a little bit off, a little bit. And then I just went back to continue, the Spanish podcasting. But it fell, and I didn't know what fell. So I said, I'll figure out what fell. I don't know what and I said, what fell, And then I picked it up and it was her drawing, her painting. And I was like, that is odd, because when something falls, even in my vision boards, okay, I have I have pictures that sometimes they'll just peel off by themselves. What is telling me is that it wants to manifest already, or it wants to reach you, or it's much more faster to manifest. And so when the painting fell, I don't know, I'm over here thinking maybe she's thinking of me or something, or there's something about my niece or something, hopefully something good, but yeah, it's just so interesting, and today, I was cleaning the aquarium, and my turtle's aquarium, 'cause lately I've been cleaning it a lot, like I think every 2 weeks. And I think because he has a much more smaller filter. So, and I did it because I want to give him more space, because it looks like he gets real upset because he doesn't have enough space in his aquarium because he's growing, And so I had a bigger filter and it was taking a lot of space. So I just said, okay, I'm going to buy a smaller filter, and it throws the same kind of water, it pretty much the same. It's just that it's smaller. And so I bought it, and I don't know, I just been having to clean the water like every 2 weeks, but I don't mind because, it's better than I used to do it once every month. And I noticed when I did it once every month, you know, he had a lot of doo-doo there, like a lot. And I'm like, maybe I'm overfeeding him, or something. But if you think about it, it accumulates for a whole month. That's not healthy, I have to be cleaning the water like every 2 weeks or something. And I love cleaning it every 2 weeks now because there's not a lot of doo-doo, It's just that the water, it goes a little bit like brownish and stuff. And so when I see it like that and it's not clear, I know I gotta, I gotta change the water. And I do all the cleaning of his rocks and all the other stuff there while he walks around. So I heard, I heard wax on, wax off, Daniel's son. The movie The Karate Kid. And I don't know why I heard that. I was like, so weird, the downloads I get when I'm working with water, And water is very intuitive, especially right now with the North Node with Formaha, right? Formaha, this star of spirituality and faith and faded things that are happening with the water, right? And so that's why I said, get close to God and pray to God, and hopefully miracles can come in, rewards can come in. And right now is a great time for that, okay? To be talking to God with that formal hot star, which is very like elevated. It's very electric. It's very gaseous, okay? It's very nuclear. So, you know, um, So it's just, when it comes to your prayers, they could be very elevated. Um, Another thing too, it's very important also to wear, because not only because of the elevation with that formal hall dangerous star in the sign of Pisces, in the third house of communication, okay, with the North Node, the 5G can be a little bit more elevated as well. This is why maybe some people might be having some chest pains. That could be coming through strong 5G. So I would recommend that you do invest in some shungite. Okay, that's Shungite. And you can find it on Amazon. You can find it in eBay and Etsy. They sell it everywhere online. Okay, and you could either you could even buy the rocks and you could put it in a glass of water and you could drink that. I actually want to do that. I think that's pretty cool. I haven't tried that, but I do have shungite earrings. Okay, they're in the shape of a star, and it has a little bit of pyrite, like it's like gold and prosperity and fortune, little specks on the stars. So, and there's shungite, and I have them on my ears, and then I also have a shungite necklace. Okay, so it takes away the EMF frequency, and they've tested it, and when you wear shungite, it lowers the 5G. Okay, so when you're always using the phone, or especially if you live in an area like I do, okay, there is strong 5G, because it is the port, and there's a lot of tourism and so forth, and I don't see anything wrong if you live in this community as long as you wear shungite. Okay, and it's interesting because even people here in my community that are spiritual, not all of them, but some of them, one man pointed out, "Oh, you got shungite on." And I'm like, "Yeah," he goes, "Smart girl." And not everybody wears it. And so it's good to also have it inside your home because it protects from the EMF, especially if you're using the TV or listening to the radio. I don't think nobody listens to radio anymore. But any gadgets, any technology gadgets, a lot of people have a lot of gadgets hanging around. And another advice that I do want to say is, if you have a lot of technology gadgets inside your home, get rid of it. Get rid of it. I've been doing that, and I've been also telling my dad that I don't know if it's something traditional, or if it's some of the parents that are Hispanic, or Latinos. They tend to have like a lot of broken radios and speakers, and they're just there. You know what I mean? And I thought my dad was the only one, but no, one of my friends, well, one of my sister's friend, that's also my friend, and she had mentioned that her dad has these aparatos, right? And which is these machines, and gadgets, technology gadgets, and that they're just there. They're broken, but they're just there, or like a broken TV, and it's just there, right? So that accumulates frequency. Okay, I don't care if the TV doesn't work, it's still accumulating frequency. And when you have too many gadgets inside your home, it's not good. And so you need to get rid of those gadgets. You need to either sell them or throw them out or something, because it's accumulating, especially with Aquarius and Pluto. That has to do with technology, and it has to do with machines and all of that, especially if they're broken. Donate them or give them out or throw them out or something, because it's accumulating a lot of frequency in your home, and it can elevate, maybe into chest pains or something like that if you're not protected. Okay, especially right now that Jupiter and Pluto are opposing each other right now. Okay, we know that Leo has to do with the heart, and Aquarius has to do with it has to do with the ankles. Okay, so there could be like swelling of ankles. Watch for your ankles. Make sure that you don't consume too much salt. You drink a lot of water, because there's a correlation between the heart and the ankles, just as much as there's a correlation between Leo. I was gonna say, I was gonna say Cupid. I don't know why. It sounded like I was gonna say Cupid, right? Cupid is in Capricorn, but between Aquarius and Leo, okay, just there's a correlation there as well. And so it's something to, just kind of take a look at, how your body is feeling and so forth. And, clean up, your home, inside your home, and get rid of gadgets that you don't need. You don't need too many gadgets like that. It's not healthy. So that's another example. We used to have a lot of TVs. We got rid of all of them. They were just broken. I don't know why. It just, my dad's a Virgo and he feels like he can fix things. Like, oh, I'll just fix it, and then it'll work. And I'm like, well, why do you want so many TVs? Then you're complaining that the bill's too high, right? And I'm like, well, you're the only one that watches TV. I don't watch TV. I just don't. I can't remember the last time I watched TV and sat in an actual living room and watched TV. Like, it's been like, I'd rather be on the computer. So I don't watch TV at all, not even movies or nothing like that. I do have Amazon Prime, so they do have movies. I actually watched one and I was just like, whoa, what kind of movie? What kind of movie is this? Like, it kind of creeped me out a little bit because it just kind of reminded me a little bit of my life and um, something similar. And I was like, ew, no. And anyway, I'm not even going to go into that because I don't know who's listening to the podcast. You know what I mean? So, um, anyway, I have a feeling my whole entire block listens to me. So, um, anyway, so let's talk about the moon in the moon in Gemini. Let me since I already talked about the formal halt and the North Node in Pisces. It's a good time for spirituality. Talk to God, talk to your angels, pray, manifest. A lot of that because the energies are high right now. Okay. Let's go to the moon right now in Gemini. It's at 16 degrees of ancestry. Okay, and is coming together with Ceres. Okay, Ceres has to do with land, with farming, with crops. It has to do with nurturing your body. Okay, and it has to do with land and real estate. Okay, abundance as well. And it's a very prosperous asteroid here. Okay, that has to do with supermarkets as well. And it's at the 17th degree of Leo. Okay, so we might be investing, especially in real estate. It might be like maybe mansions or maybe yachts or something very luxurious. Or in supermarkets, we might be entering supermarkets that are a little bit elevated, more luxurious, something like Erewhon or, um, you know, those kind of organic supermarket Sprouts. I love Sprouts. Okay, my local Sprouts. I kind of find everything there, but the things that I need, but not everything. I love the vegetables. They're very affordable. The fruits, and they're just very healthy also. So I buy that, but other products can be a little bit pricey. So I just don't, I don't know. I don't, Sprouts is, I think it's only in certain, I know in Texas, they even have a Texas Sprouts. So I don't know. And I know that because, I follow this one reader. His name is Austin. He goes by Austin Terrell, and he does predictions and so forth. The only reason I follow him is because he does professional, like he has this voice, like he's like entertaining as well. Well, he's a Leo. But he was talking also about Sprouts, and he was talking about like he loves the cookies there or something like that. I'm like, I didn't know they had a Sprouts in Texas, and I guess they do. It's not around the world, but it's just I think certain states in the United States. It started as a mom and pop supermarket, and then it grew, and now it's in a lot of locations. I know they have one in San Diego as well. I would think Las Vegas maybe or something. So they have really expanded, and I do like it because I find everything there. But like I mentioned, there are some other items that are a little bit more pricey, like really organic things. And I don't buy those. I just buy what I need. Um, So anyway, we might be entering supermarkets. They're a little bit more elevated because we know everything's frequency, right? And so you want to enter a supermarket that is high elevated. I do. It makes a whole lot of difference. Okay, a whole lot of difference. So maybe we are wanting to enter these portals in these supermarkets that are a little bit elevated. Just to feel good and so forth. We have let's see, we have Rico, okay, rich Italian, and in the sign of Gemini. Did I bring? Let me have a drink here. In the sign of Gemini at 21 degrees of world economy. Okay, so Rico is like rich Italian, so we might be maybe hearing stories about Italian families, something around the world, okay, and pertaining to world economies as well. And I think it was in Facebook, and there were Italians that they were not complaining, but they were voicing. There's nothing wrong with voicing your communication about taking Italians out of the map, according to a politician in New York, right? And so they were saying it's not fair. Why did they take us out of the map? And we're not, we've been in New York for a long time. And, there's a lot of history with Italians in New York. And so I happened to share it because I was like, oh, yeah, it's not really fair, that they're not putting them on the New York map, you know. So they were doing some videos and I shared it. And then after, I think a few hours later, or I think the next day, they announced that the mayor said because there was people talking about it and because there was video shared and everything, they decided to put Italy back on the map, and to not put it back on the map, but put it on the map now, because people were communicating, voicing. And so the moral of that story is that you have to speak up and you have to communicate, because if you don't, then your voice is going to go void. Nobody's going to know who you are. Nobody's going to know what your situation is, what your problem is, right? And so when you speak up, then, not only you, but many more people speak in their behalf, or in the behalf of the community, then they are heard. That's why when you're going to change laws, or when they're picketing, there's a lot of people that are picketing, and then you have to go to legislature, and you got to vote for laws to happen and so forth, and that's how decisions are made, right? So it's very important that we speak up. Like there's over here in San Pedro where I live, usually, like, I think it was like in the bus, it said, if you see something, say something. So it is about speaking up and reporting something that you see kind of weird or kind of off and stuff. And yeah, because that's the only way you're going to be heard. Okay. And this is why a podcast, because it is about being heard around the world. So we also have 23 degrees here with silver. Okay, so silver is also in Gemini. Okay, these are all in Gemini. The silver is at 23 degrees of Aquarius. Okay, so the silver could be a little bit innovative. It could be a little bit rebellious. Okay, if you want to wear some silver or something like that, it's in the sign of Gemini. And is coming together with Rico. So something about rich Italian. Okay, maybe wearing silver watches or something, silver rings. Usually they will wear like gold, but right now it is in the sign of Gemini. Silver is a little bit more discreet than gold. Gold is like very out there. Gold is a beautiful color, don't get me wrong. Especially with Jupiter and Leo, a lot of people are wearing more gold. But right now it's in Gemini, and it's a little bit more discreet, a little bit more protective, and but it still matters. It's a metal. So we have that. And then, especially in matters, and I'm going to tell you why. Because silver is at 23 and it's coming together with Midas, which is the Midas touch. Okay. Anything you touch turns to gold. Okay. And it's at the 27 degree of communication. Okay. So it is about communicating. Maybe whatever you say has the Midas touch. Okay. Maybe you say something and you manifest out there. Okay. You put it out there and boom, you got it. Right. It could be an affirmation. Right. It could be an affirmation of anything that you want to have. I'm trying to look at my vision board here. I have one where it says, God intended me to live a life of riches. Boom. You know, and you got to believe in it. So right now with the Midas touch is that it could happen. So, for me, I would say play around with it, say whatever good things that you want to say. You could say, I'm a lottery winner. I'm a win today. Boom. Right? There's an affirmation that I say here. Why am I consistently at the right place at the right time winning top tier jackpot prizes? Okay. And there's something about saying this every day and you train your brain, but especially right now, you got the Midas touch. Okay. With that communication there with silver. Okay, coming together with Midas, which is a Midas touch. Now, those that play around with the stock market, it's a great time to invest in silver. It is something that can happen rapidly with the Midas touch. You might have the Midas touch, or if you're in Las Vegas and you're playing the jackpot or you're playing Russian roulette or whatever it is. I've never played it, but I have played casinos, but you might have the Midas touch to win something in silver. Okay. So that is something good. Or maybe if you're wearing silver, you have the Midas touch. So, yeah. And, so that is what's going on there when it comes to Gemini. Let me, I do have to say, the moon is conjuncting Mars. Okay, Mars is also in Gemini. It's at the 9 degrees of anything international. Okay, international foods, international travel, passports. All of that has to do with action. Okay, and competition in the sign of Gemini. Okay, you might be in competition with other countries. Okay, or you might take action towards countries. Okay, especially right now with the FIFA, we're all in unity, but we're all celebrating each other's countries, and I think that's a wonderful thing. I think that what FIFA did is it brought us all together to celebrate each other countries and, and those, that we didn't go for, or the countries that we didn't go for, other people were celebrating them, and so for me, it was more about, coming together and celebrating each other's country. And I think that was a wonderful thing. But right now here with Mars in Gemini, it is coming together with the moon. Okay. And with Uranus. Okay. We still have it conjunct Uranus. And it's very rebellious. That's why I said, the frequency seems very elevated, where it's very communicative. A lot of people have a lot of things to say. It's just like, whoa, like when I go on X, like everybody's talking about a different topic or this and this, and everybody has something to say. And that's a wonderful thing, because it hasn't been this elevated when it comes to communication. Now, a lot of people have a lot of information, a lot of information. I mean, geez, we don't even need books anymore, right? Everybody has information of some sort of information that we need. And I think that's a wonderful thing, that's what connects people together. And that's how we can become smarter, Of course, you got to trust person because there's a lot of lies out there as well, And you just know, who you can trust, who you cannot trust, But take a chance. It's not like it's perfect. You know what I mean? Nobody is perfect. And just, just observe. That's what I do. I observe people, and if I see that it's too um like uh like very liar liar pants on fire, then I'm just not going to listen to that person. I'm probably going to laugh, but if it's information that is useful and you can apply it to your life, and it's a nugget, look for those golden nuggets, okay, that can really really help you in your life. One of the golden nuggets that really helped me in my past when I was battling like dark shadow stuff and a lot of war stuff that I went through, war when it comes to my life. And I heard a quote that said, when the woman masters the intellect, men are done. And it's not the intention of wanting to finish men, okay? It was with the intention of women lead with the heart, not really with the brain. There's very small percentage that women lead with the brain, but the majority of women lead with the heart. They're very emotional, they're very empathic, they're very compassionate, and so forth. And the men, the masculine men, they lead with the head. Okay. They lead with the brain. And so they're more about intellects. Okay. They love information, they love conversation that has to do with strategy and solving solutions and so forth. And we don't see many women there unless you're like very like intellectual, or business like, I think you should have both. I think you should sandwich both of them, but somebody that might have a lot of air like I do, I have a lot of air. The most that I have is air. Okay, so when you have a lot of air like that, you're very masculine in your thinking. You think like a man. I'm a female. I'm a woman, but I think like a man. I do. And so I think this is why I gain respect from men, because I think like a man. I am emotional too. I'm a little percentage of, I am compassionate, and I am, emotional and so forth. But I think because I have so much air, I'm more intellect. And I like to solve problems. I would be an attorney, put it that way. And I have the chart for it. But yeah, or like a psychiatrist or or a psychologist, or some people that can read people's life and solve problems and so forth. And that's why I became an astrologer and a life coach, a neuroscience life coach certified. So I'm very proud of the studies that I've done, and it has even helped me, when I'm feeling a little off, and it's normal, it's especially with these planets right now, these frequencies right now that are so elevated, they're so high that we've never experienced anything like it before. Okay. And this is the first time. I mean, we're going back to World War, what is it? World War One? No, Civil War. We're going back to Civil War. We're going back to the Revolution, the French Revolution. We're going back to these days that we've never seen before, with the Uranus in Gemini trine Pluto in Aquarius, that goes back to centuries ago, that we never experienced. We don't know how to handle them, and they're very elevated. That's why I say wear Shanghai. Shanghai will really, help you with that. And they, you could wear like rings or bracelets or necklace or earrings, or even drink them in like these pebbles. They're these pebbles, you put them in a glass water. And I do want to try those. I think that might be something fun to do, just to drink water with those little, they're like black pebbles. And, you know, I don't know how it would taste though, but hopefully it doesn't taste like nothing bad. um, so anyway, and so that's what we got with the moon in Gemini there. It is conjuncting Mars, so there's this aggression there. It is making an opportunity also to Saturn in Aries, okay? So when there's an opportunity with Saturn in Aries, where, let me check here. Just refresh it. Saturn is at 14 degrees of Banks, okay? in Aries. So the moon, the moon is making an opportunity with Saturn. Okay. And we're talking about banks, we're talking about money. It's in the third house of communication. And maybe, we might be doing some communication about money or thinking about our money, and how to strategize, or something pertaining to family, because the moon is in the 16 degrees of families, okay, of ancestry. Let's see here. Oh, I do have to say the moon is also trining Pandora. That's Pandora's box. That's ta-da. And so let me, it is trining. Let me go there. No, that's another one there. Let me check this one. Oh yeah, Pandora is in Libra. Okay, so 17 degrees of Leo. Fame, royals, anything like that. There's a Pandora box that is being discovered. Okay, with that trine to the moon in Gemini. So let me check what house it's in. Oh, it's in the 10th house of public participation. Okay, the 10th house. And there it says, I relate with the world. Is how we relate to the world, the 10th house. And that's where Pandora's box is. Okay. So that's where there's some secrets in that box. What is inside that box? Okay. So the 10th house has to do with fame, the way we achieve recognition, ambition, promotions, the carrying out of responsibilities. Okay. Achievements, we don't get an award for just sitting on the couch. You know what I mean? We get it by being responsible and dealing with authority, dealing with employers, and achieving worldly things, okay? And being evaluated in our positions in life and with the world, okay? How we are being of service, how we are, it's not about changing the entire world, but if you can change one person, around the world, or maybe inspire someone around the world, especially right now with the whole FIFA, there's a lot of marketing going on with that, then you're making a difference, okay? And there's something about Pandora box, something that's hidden there, okay? As it makes a harmonious trine with the moon in Gemini. It's in a great position there in the 10th house. So if you are making a difference, and it's coming together with French, something to do with France, okay, at 20 degrees of Scorpio. So it might be something to pertain to Paris, maybe Fashion Week, models, or anything like that, okay, in the sign of Libra, and is getting along with the moon in Gemini. Okay, maybe you might want to eat some French bread. I don't know. Maybe some French toast. Maybe some French fries. I don't know. Anything French, right? So we have that. I didn't want to talk about this asteroid here of Mexico. Where is it at? Okay, Mexico is, the asteroid of Mexico is at 25. It's pretty much wrapping up in the sign of Cancer, but it's at 25 degrees right now of Aries, okay? And this, this asteroid here of Mexico is making an opportunity with Fortuna, okay? And that's a wonderful thing, because what that tells us is, especially if you're Mexican, or you live in Mexico, or you live in the United States and you are Mexican, or you just love Mexican food, you don't have to be Mexican. It is forming an opportunity with Fortuna. There's some fortunate with maybe eating tacos. Maybe there's something fortunate with maybe buying a Mexican perfume. I don't know. Do they have Mexican perfumes? I don't know. or just anything, maybe tequila or maybe a little bit of tequila. I'm not saying you got to go and get drunk, or maybe some Mexican beer. Maybe, right now it's hot, it's the summertime. I'm not trying to promote the beer, but there are some Mexican beers like Modelo beers. Oh man, those are so good. I just had one recently, a watermelon with like spicy chili. Oh my god, it was so good. Like micheladas, right? They're so good for the summer. And so anything that pertains to Mexico, there's fortune on there. It's about frequency of Mexican frequency, right? And, who does not love Mexican food? Everybody loves Mexican food, right? Chips and salsa, burritos and tacos or anything like that. And, or just even ice cream, anything like that. And so when this asteroid of Mexico forms an opportunity with fortune, you can come into some kind of fortune, or maybe you might feel a little bit more fortunate in some sort of way. Okay, because everything is frequency. Now, Mexico also here is coming together in a conjunction with Fama. Fama is this asteroid of fame. So you might, especially if you are Mexican, you could get famous if fame is what you're looking for. And, by doing videos, by doing podcasting, by putting yourself out there, or maybe traveling to Mexico. A lot of people have been traveling to Mexico City because the FIFA. And I think that they've been getting a little bit famous, don't you think? They're doing videos and then they're saying, "Oh, Mexico is such a beautiful country. They all, welcome me, and I'm from London, and all this, and they're all doing videos, and Mexicans are just making them famous, by welcoming them. And I think it's a wonderful thing. You don't have to be Mexican. It could just be anything pertaining to Mexico. Let's see here. So another thing too here, I also see Mexico, the asteroid in Mexico is making a trine to Lot of Fortune. The Lot of Fortune is a shift in fortune. Okay, so not only do we have Fortuna, Fortuna pertains to justice around the world. Okay, and it is fortune, but we also have the Lot of Fortune. Okay, the Lot of Fortune is more about a shift. Like if you're down, now you're going up, and if you were up all the time, you might go down. Okay, so you just have to retain your fortune and make sure that you're reinvesting, make sure that you're growing, make sure you're learning, make sure all of that. Don't get lazy and think that, your money's always going to just show up. You got to, put yourself out there and open those doors of opportunities, get to know people, have fun. It doesn't have to be something aggressive. It doesn't have to be something that, with anxiety prone either. Just be yourself and just put yourself out there, and you might get fortunate, especially if you are Mexican. Okay, because it has to do with the asteroid of Mexico. Like I say, you could just be eating some Mexican food and enjoying your food, and maybe you run you know into some kind of fortune. Like yesterday, I was I forgot what I was shopping for, and the guy in the cashier said, "Oh, do you want this $2 bill?" Because he didn't have many dollar, just singles in dollar, and he had a special $2 bill. Like you don't see those $2 bills anymore. Those are like lucky $2 bills. And I said, yeah, why not? And so I looked at it, and it was dated for, it was a 2013 $2 bill. And I looked at it in the back, and then it had like all these presidents sitting in a table. It's one of those $2 bills that are not, it's just not random. I feel a little bit lucky, and the guy was Mexican. And so I was like, oh, okay, it's still money. He had to give me $2, but he ran out of dollar bills. So I feel pretty lucky because those are very lucky $2. You don't really get those. And 2013, I ran my marathon in Los Angeles. So the irony, right, of the year that $2 bill was dated, and when I ran the marathon, it was in 2013 as well, and it was a 6 year in numerology, which has to do with family. It has to do with charity work as well, like giving and receiving charity work. And when I ran for orphans, okay, for one of my charities, and they sponsored me to run the LA Marathon, and so I was running for orphans in 2013 on a six that has to do with charity. Okay, so it was the alignment of it. But when I see the $2 bill, it's like, oh, these are really rare. Like, I don't really see these, but I feel a little bit lucky, that he gave me that $2 bill. So things like that can happen. So I just want to point that out with that Mexican asteroid. And let me look at what house, because I think that would help there. It's in the seventh house of relationships, of contracts, okay, of we are. So it has to do with partnerships, it has to do with contracts, agreements, signatures. It relates to our dealings with the public and the public response. Also, it has to do with our attitudes about competition. So there could be open enemies there, in the seventh house, okay? And it could be because of competition, okay? But understand that there's space for everyone, okay? We should not be competing unless you're getting paid to compete, okay? So it also has to do with commerce and business dealings and business representatives and the public relations. Okay. So that's all in where that Mexico asteroid is located. Okay. In the seventh house of contracts. So it's very important there because, you could get a contract signed, or a deal with a business deal, or with brands, or with marketing, or anything like that, and especially with the whole FIFA thing, and just getting to know people and so forth. And so if you are Mexican, it's a good time to put yourself out there. Do not be shy. Do some videos. I'm actually I'm coming up with a strategy with some creativity of having to do shorts on YouTube. And I want to do the astro maps, okay? So I don't think I'm going to do it every day because I do have 2 YouTube channels in Spanish and English. But I do want to start putting shorts, even if it's just like 10 seconds, And I don't think I could do 10 seconds, but I mean, I can do like, well, the shorts are like really short. So, especially if you don't have a lot of numbers, you're just starting out. But I think they give you like 60 seconds or something. And so within those 60 seconds, I could probably talk about, with the map and what's going on and so forth like that in this area, and want to talk about different countries as well, not just the United States. And just kind of like the astro weather, but more in maps. I know people do enjoy maps, and I know I do. And so it could be my Neptune and Sagittarius in the eighth house of going deep. Of excavating and digging. Of where these maps are. And Sagittarius has to do with countries. And so, and Neptune has to do with spirituality, right? So it's about being intuitive and knowing what's going on with this. And I think it correlates with my chart. And I enjoy it. I really enjoy these maps. They come so natural for me. For me, it does come real natural. And I just want to help people understand more about maps and the importance of it. And, I don't know everything, I know pretty much enough to be dangerous, but I'm not like this guru or person or something like that. So there are some things that I am learning also from others, and I'm sharing them as well. on the YouTube that I do want to start this channel talking about the maps. So anyway, I'm going to cut it short here. I just wanted to talk a little bit on the astro weather and what's going on with the moon in Gemini, okay, at the 16th degree of ancestry. So there's a lot of things going on right now as it comes together with Mars. Some interesting that oh yeah, it's just over here. It's over here hiding with Mars, because I was like, I don't see Uranus. But it's over here in back of Mars. I don't know, it's probably being a bad boy, and it has not been behaving probably, and is right in back of Mars. So anyway, it's at 4 degrees, okay, of real estate. So as we see a lot of fours, okay, there's a lot of fours has to do, notice there's going to be a lot of cops. There's going to be a lot of helicopters, a lot of patrolling and everything, because 4 rules law and order. It also in astrology, in numerology, and astrology, it rules real estate, it rules families, children, marriages, love, all of that. Anything that pertains to Cancer, the sign, astrological sign of Cancer. And we're going to be noticing a lot of frequencies with the 4. Okay, I don't know what this other asteroid is here. Oh, 4 is also in the asteroid of Beer. Okay, it's coming together with Uranus. So also watch out for that Beer, because you might be a little bit rebellious with some beer. Okay, because it's at 4 degrees, the asteroid of Beer, and then Uranus is and Uranus is in Gemini at 4 degrees as well. So we got a Uranus conjunct Beer asteroid. Okay, so you can be maybe argumentative, or loud, louder than usual, or super rebellious, and just gotta calm down, because you probably could end up drinking and driving. You could also end up in jail. you know and especially 4 degrees has to do with law and order, being pulled by the cops, and so forth. So that's, you got to follow the rules, right? So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did like the episode, do share, do like, do subscribe. And also, if you want to take a look at the website where I do bookings for readings, you can go to www.starzenith33.com, and you'll find a plethora of information there. Okay, and hope you guys are having a great day, and I will talk to you soon.